Today, we're going to talk about how something as ordinary as a bicycle sparked a massive social revolution. And no, we're not talking about some new fitness craze. We're talking about cycling as a genuine movement for freedom and independence for women in Pudukkottai, Tamil Nadu. It's an incredible story.
I mean, it seems like a wild question, right? Can two wheels really change the world? Well, in Pudukkottai, which was one of India's poorest districts, the answer was a huge, resounding yes. So let's dive into how these amazing women literally paved their own road to empowerment.
So, to really get a handle on this, you first have to understand the sheer scale of what happened. This wasn't just a small group of women. In the early 1990s, something absolutely extraordinary swept across the entire district, and it changed everything. Get this, over 100,000 rural women learned how to cycle. 100,000! And most of them were neo-literates. They were just starting their journey with reading and writing. They took to the bicycle with this incredible, unstoppable enthusiasm. And you've got to understand, this wasn't some quiet, behind-the-scenes thing. Oh no. Of those new cyclists, more than 70,000 of them proudly showed off their new skills in public exhibition contests. It was a massive, very loud and proud declaration that they had arrived. You see, for these women, the bicycle was never just a way to get from point A to point B. It became this powerful symbol. It stood for independence from having to rely on men. It meant freedom from being stuck at home. And it was mobility, the power to go wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted. But a movement isn't just about numbers. It's about people. So let's meet a few of the women who were right at the heart of this, the ones whose personal stories really bring this revolution to life. Take Jamila Bibi. Her attitude here is just so powerful. In a place where women on bikes were often looked down on, she just flat out said, "It's my right." And that line, "I paid no attention," that really captures the spirit of the whole movement. It was a defiant refusal to be held back. And then there's Fatima, a school teacher. She got so hooked on that feeling of freedom that she actually hired a bicycle for half an hour every single evening. She couldn't afford to buy her own yet, but she paid just to have that little bit of independence. That right there, that's real passion. So you might be wondering, where did this all start? Well, believe it or not, the initial push came right from the top. The entire idea was the brainchild of the district collector at the time, Sheela Rani Chunkath. Her big vision was to connect mobility with literacy, to help activists reach women in the most remote villages. That official backing was just so vital. Okay, so you have this great idea from an official, but how does that turn into a massive grassroots movement? Well, that's where the Arivoli, or Light of Knowledge literacy movement, comes into the picture. They became the engine room, providing all the structure and support that made this revolution even possible. And this part is absolutely crucial to understand. Arivoli gave the whole thing what's called social sanction. Basically, they made it okay. They set up training camps where experienced cyclists taught the newbies for free. They wrote catchy songs that became anthems for the movement. And so importantly, they stood up for the women against men who had harassed them, giving them the courage to keep on riding. And this line from one of their songs just says it all, doesn't it? It was written by an Arivoli activist named Muthu Bhaskaran. And it wasn't just a song lyric, it was an invitation. It was a call to action saying, "Come join us, be part of this sisterhood, let's move forward together." All right, so we've got the training, the support, the sheer defiance. What was the payoff? Well, it was huge, both for society and for these women's wallets. And the real-world benefits here? This is the key to why this movement was so successful. So let's talk economics, because the impact was direct and it was powerful. Suddenly, women could travel to way more villages to sell their produce, which boosted their income. They saved so much time that they used to waste just waiting around for buses. This not only helped their businesses, it actually gave them more leisure time, and it cut down their dependence on the men in their families for transport. And if you want hard proof, look no further than the local bike shop. The owner of Ram Cycles said that his sales of ladies' bikes shot up by over 350% in 1 year. That isn't just a trend. That's an economic earthquake. But as important as all that money was, the most profound impact was something you just can't put a price tag on. It was this incredible new feeling of confidence, of dignity, a sense of self-respect that came from not having to rely on their husbands or fathers or brothers anymore. So when we look back at all of this, what is the lasting legacy? It's really easy for us today to maybe underestimate it. But for the women of Pudukkottai, what they did was nothing short of monumental. So let's just recap that journey real quick. It starts as an idea in 91. Then it explodes with this massive rally in 92 that totally stunned the town. It even got international recognition from UNICEF. And years later, in 95, the craze was still going strong. This was not some flash in the pan. This was real, lasting change. And I really want you to hear this final perspective from Kandamal, one of the Arivoli coordinators. She said that for these women, learning to ride a bike was a Himalayan achievement. Think about that. For them, it was as big and as liberating as learning to fly an airplane. It just completely reshaped their world. And that kind of brings us to our final thought. The story of Pudukkottai proves that huge, transformative change doesn't always need some high-tech gadget or billions of dollars. Sometimes it all starts with a simple tool, a humble vehicle. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the simple tools for empowerment and freedom that maybe we're overlooking today?